Hi, everybody. This is Lisa Kessler from Kessler Insurance, and I am here today with my dear friend Joanne for another fun recording for Cheers for Charity New Hampshire. Hey, Joanne.
Lisa, good to see you. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Joanne Burchuck. I'm with Lighthouse Physical Therapy and looking forward to introducing you to another great local charity. And this morning, or today, it's actually afternoon here, but we have Linda Beal, and she is with Kids 5 and Over. And I just loved reading all about your organization on the website. So looking forward to hearing your perspective on it. So please, Linda, welcome and introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your organization.
Thank you so much. I am Linda Beal, and I am the founder and president of Kids 5 and Over. And we are an all-volunteer local nonprofit dedicated to helping children in challenging economic circumstances explore their unique interests and talents. We offer a sustained commitment to their chosen activities so that they can really dig in and practice things like persistence and dedication and resilience and meet new friends and rub shoulders with mentors and learn things about themselves, perhaps that they enjoy that activity or maybe that they don't, which is all learning. We also offer funds for peripheral needs because sometimes showing up for an activity is more than just paying the registration. Sometimes you need shoes or a baseball mitt or a dance costume or sports glasses or a duffel bag or all kinds of different things. There are different configurations of how we support. Some families are able to get their children into the local recreation opportunities, but then can't afford the things that they need, peripheral needs to show up. Sometimes they need it all. Sometimes they need it for just a little while the family gets over a hurdle, and sometimes they need it for much longer than that. So it's very unique. It's very child by child. It's responding to what the kids need so that while the families work through whatever bumps or hurdles they're going through, the kids' lives can just sort of stay as steady as possible. The board always wants me to share how we started, so I will do that.
I was actually going to ask you that. I loved your story. I read it online, but I wanted to hear you say it. So,
well, it's funny because, so as you know, it started in my 49th year when I was sort of in that place of going, gosh, 50's coming, and what does that mean? And I never really thought it was going to be about a story of like, how old am I now? But it was 50, like I say, is kind of a halfway point. Hopefully, if we get to live to be 100. And there comes that time when you start to think more about the generation after you and the responsibilities that they will carry for you and wanting to make the investment in them. But then coupled with that, I'm an educator and I'd been in the schools for over 3 decades at that point, and had seen so many kids who had needs that go beyond what we can provide. It's not, teachers will always do what they can to provide snacks and to provide school supplies and to even provide clothing by bringing their hand-me-downs to the school nurse. But when you sit next to a child who talks about how he can't wait to play baseball and he's going to be a baseball star, or somebody's going to be a singer, or someone's going to be an artist, and they don't have access to the things that let them dabble in that, we can't fund that. I can't fund it in the school. We can't fund it individually. It's not appropriate to do so. So that year, when I was 49.7 years old, I was in the auditorium at the school where I work, and every year they have a talent show, and it's not what you think about when you think about a talent show. This is just, it goes with the premise of everybody has a talent, so come. And kids will get on the stage, and the 6-year-old who's just discovered humor will do knock-knock jokes for the audience. The 7-year-old who loves to bowl will bring his plastic bowling set and bowl because that's his talent. There's singers, there's dancers, there's gymnasts, there's all kinds of different things. And the beauty of children is that they own it. They're like, I'm a bowler, I'm a comedian, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer. And whether they're good or not does not matter, because the talent show is all about just spotlighting bravery and resilience, and there's no winners because everyone's a winner, right? Because they got up there on the stage. So there was this one particular moment where there were a couple of dancers who had had the choreographed dance lessons, and they had the matching costumes and socks and shoes and bow in the hair and the whole thing. And you could see that they were so proud of the fact that they were able to perform this outside of their dance studio in their own time for their friends. And then the next one was also a dancer who came on stage. She danced by herself. That was that's what she wanted to do. And she wore a dress that you could tell by the twinkle in her eye that it was her favorite dress. It's just that it was probably her favorite dress a couple years ago, so it wasn't quite fitting anymore. She had some hand-me-down high top sneakers on when the laces had expired a while ago. So while she was dancing, one of her shoes fell off. She was not choreographed. She had her favorite song, and her routine looked like she had put it together in front of her bedroom mirror, just absorbed in the beauty of dancing. And she was so happy to be up there showing everyone what she could do. And then the next group happened to be another group of dancers. So she was sandwiched in between kids who had had lessons, but what they all had in common is that they all loved to dance. And I sat there thinking, well, I wonder if she ever wanted dance lessons, not because she needed to improve her skill, but because when you get in that environment of people who share a passion with you, you meet friends and develop lifelong friendships in those kinds of ways, not while you're dancing, often when you're off to the side just hanging out. And so all of that ultimately led to this idea that I wanted to start a nonprofit as the birthday present I would give to myself in my 50th year that supports kids in their passions. And so then that's what we fund. We fund joy, right? So when we get the nomination for somebody who wants to access funding for kids, it does not matter if they're good at it. It matters more that they find joy in it. We ignite the spark is what we like to say. So we want to hear quotes from the kids about why they want to participate. We don't necessarily, so like if an adult will say, we really feel that dance would be good for her because it would get her out and get her moving. That's not what we fund. But if we hear she pirouettes to the dinner table, like that's what we fund, right? But it's more than just dance. It's anything that we might want to do in our young life. So we nominate kids from 5 to 18. And when we talk to people about what it is that we do, our mission really is relatable to everybody because we were all children. Right? At one point, that's one thing we all have in common. We often in our adult lives don't stop and think about what those events meant to us or the people that we met. We had a moment in one of our board meetings where we all just took a moment and talked about the mentors that we had in our life, because sometimes when they're in your life, you don't know that they're a mentor. Sometimes it's 10 years later. And you can kind of string them together across your decades of the different people that buoyed you or leveraged you or supported you to get you where you are. And these things, including the friends that you make, including the activities that you join, are all pieces of the puzzle that create who we are in our life. And there are children who don't have these opportunities. And then along comes the pandemic, right? And who would have thought we could have a social experiment like that, where social recreational opportunities are shut down for everybody? And so you have families who have always been able to afford that for their children, or children who have always had the opportunity, and now they can't participate. And what we learned, obviously, was that that's all connected to mental health and how important it was to get kids back in the game. And so 2020 and early 2021, our organization wasn't seeing a lot of nominations because there was no place for the kids to go. We had some that we were sustaining through Zoom, some were participating through Zoom, but there weren't a lot of nominations because kids couldn't play. And then while the world was still shut down, we started to see the value in that. And all of a sudden donations start coming in from people who are saying, wow, I get it. What you do really resonates. I see now what happens when kids can't participate. And then the next year, the nominations really spiked because families were still struggling a bit to get back up on their feet and needed a little bit of help to get their kids back in the game. 67% of our nominations came from Seacoast Mental Health that year, which is, it's a really wonderful relationship we have with them because they do the hard work and we lift the joy. So they sit with kids and work through their tricky things, and we get an opportunity to sponsor them in the things that feel easier for them and lighter for them. And to grow your area of strength is something that can help you when you need to dip into an area that's a bit tricky. So we've learned a lot about our value beyond even what I imagined it would be in the auditorium that day. And we are now celebrating our 10th year. And it has, I mean, this really has been a highlight for me, and become even bigger and wider and deeper and more meaningful than I ever thought it could be.
I love that story, and I just love the joy that you're able to bring these kids, and their words. Lisa, I can see Lisa over there just going, "Oh my God, I love this."
So you help kids 5 to 18. So what's the geographic area? You know, where do you reach?
We are Seacoast. We are Rockingham, Stratford, York County. We're very, very local, very organic, deep roots. We work with outreach to schools, with caseworkers, to community members, to really anybody that sits beside a child, or you know, I say child, but again, that's youth and adolescence and all the way up. As you get to middle school, it becomes sometimes even more important to stay engaged in something. Some of the team sports, you either stay on your team sports or you go to more your individual thing, but having a place to go. So yeah, Seacoast area, we're very local.
Fantastic.
The thing that I love too is that you know, the child might be able to participate in a recreational sport, but they don't have the equipment to do that. Now, do you have a source that you can sometimes rely on, or even, I mean, we all have stuff, you know, sitting in our, you know, our kids played baseball, or they played soccer, or they play, you know, some kind of a sport. And then as they grew into the next phase, you have all this stuff that you'd love to have somebody use. Is there like an easy way to connect people up with what these kids need to play this sport with all of the stuff we all have? Right?
That's a really great question. I mean, we are a bare bones organization. We're kind of just a conduit. Donations come in, 100% of those donations go right back out. And because we are so just really basic, we can do that. So we don't have supplies or inventories or the like, but to your point, so for example, if somebody wants to participate in music lessons, then we send the funding to the organization that provides the lessons. If they need equipment, same thing. If it's, we had an example of a boy who played high school basketball, and his mom was like, every morning his feet are bigger, I can't, you know, because once boys cross over to men's size shoes, the price doubles. So he just needed shoes. And so she ordered and we reimbursed by receipt. So most of the time we send the money to the organization, but sometimes when it's something like we had a gymnast who needed some clothes, and so there was a budget, and then we just reimbursed by receipt. So we do that kind of thing. I mean, to your point, that would be great to be some sort of a recycle facility for those sorts of things. But for now, that's how we handle that.
Yeah, you know, even somehow we can get that word out, you know. Oh, are you having a hard time hearing me? I'm sorry.
That part cut a little. You got to go a little
Oh,
closer.
yeah, I know. Like, I want to connect all those people up.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So fantastic. So So Linda, what you do is incredible. We are so honored that you're doing this in our community. How can people help?
So obviously donating. Our website is kids5andover.org, and donations, your donation, 100% of your donation goes straight to sponsorship. New Hampshire Gives is coming up next week, June 6th and 7th, and we'll be there. We are this whole year pushing for in celebration of our 10th year, asking for $10 donations for people that want to link arms with us and just say, hey, we see you, we support you. The reason we say $10 is because, we just really do think people can do a lot when they do it together. And so $10 adds up over and over. And it's equally as important to us that people are part of our mission. We also are hoping to increase our recurring donors, because recurring donors, it's a beautiful way to establish a relationship across time and stay in communication about our efforts. The other way that people can help is to nominate. The nomination form is also on our website, and it's a pretty simple Google Doc. We want to know as much as possible from the perspective of the child about what they want to do and why they want to do it. And we want to celebrate their successes with them. We mostly support sponsorships in 3 or 4 month cycles, because that sort of is the rhythm of sports and events, and also because interests of youth can change quickly, and that's okay. If somebody joins something and decides it's not what they want, that still is a learning process. And so in order to protect donor dollars, we want to make sure that they're still participating and enjoying it. And if it is something that they're enjoying, we just need touch base in 3 or 4 months and let us know they want to continue. And then people can support by sharing our mission with others, so they know that we're here. So I guess we have donate, nominate, and communicate.
There you go.
Yeah, we really are just sort of like a grassroots, group of kind-hearted people who spend time with children and see the need, and we're a no frills sort of conduit. But what happens in all this is it's life-changing for them and for us. It's really, we get thank you notes from kids, and with all kinds of misspelled words and drawings of things, and it's beautiful. And some of the kids know that we sponsor them. Some of them think they got a scholarship, right? And isn't that a great pick-me-up? And some of them don't know. Some of them think that their families do, and that is fine. It doesn't matter to us that they know or that anyone knows. It's just more important that it gets done. We also try really hard to maintain the anonymity of the kids that we sponsor, because that's their story to tell, not ours. It would probably be easier for us to market if we could get the faces and the stories of kids on the screen. But you know what? If you're 5 and you're excited that you got a scholarship, maybe when you're 15, you didn't want anyone to know you did. So that's their story. So we really just are about making sure that we can do good. And we do that through the support of people in the community and the donations we receive, and people like you that help us get our word out.
Well, we're honored to be a little smidge in this journey of yours. This is
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
One question about like the process for the family. So is it mostly done, somebody sees a child that would like to do something and does the nomination, or do the families reach out, and what's that process like?
Right. It's usually somebody who has noticed. So that could be a community member, a neighbor, a grandparent, a parent. It could be anybody really who notices or hears that a child wants to do something and can't do it. We don't connect them with the opportunity. So the family might say, I know he wants to play guitar. There's a guitar teacher in town. This is the cost of the lesson. So they've done all of that. The one piece they haven't been able to do is pay for it. And so then that's when they reach out to us. We have a grandmother who has been nominating her grandchildren for 5 or 6 years now for dance. and sharing their story with us. So it can be a family member. We don't get into the details of their financial situation. We trust that they need our help, and so we help. Did that answer your question? Did it? Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a very easy process, and and not a lot of questions asked, that people aren't embarrassed by their situation if they have fallen on hard times, but they still want the same opportunities for their children.
Right. And we try to, the board often said about a year ago, they said, one of the things I like about us, they said, is that we try really hard to get to yes. And so if the nomination comes in and we're going, I don't know about this one, we'll reach back out and say, we have some questions, let's talk this through. Can you tell us more about something? Because we do try really hard to get to yes. There was something else you said I was gonna, it's gone.
This has been wonderful. Is there anything that we have missed that we need to know about that we haven't asked you about?
No, but that little pause helped me remember what I was going to say, because now in my 60th year, it gets harder.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. The other piece is that the kids will often hit hard times, as families do, or have other struggles. And oftentimes those are highlighted in the narrative of the nomination form, and that's fine. But we really want to hear all the great things about your kid. Like, they don't have to have struggled in some way to deserve this opportunity. They just have to want it, and it's okay if you want to share the struggles and the things that got them where they are and why this is part of what they want to be. But if the person nominating just wants to do a full-on brag about how great this kid is because they see the value in them too, that's great. It doesn't have to be a struggle in order to have funding.
I love that. I think that's a wonderful way to wrap up this wonderful joy sharing session. We are so grateful that you are now part of the Cheers for Charity family, and we are so grateful for all you do for the children in our community.
Thank you.